This week, we've been looking at how robots are transforming our lives. Today, we meet a double amputee turning disability on its head by creating a new generation of robotic limbs. I met Hugh, who has a bold vision of a world without disability.
It's completely natural.
There's no such thing as a routine walk around the office when you're in the company of Hugh, an MIT biophysicist and a real-life bionic man. Tell me a little bit about what we're looking at.
These are called Bioms. They're the world's first powered ankle-foot prosthesis.
Herr is a double amputee whose mission is to aid people with disabilities. He says the limbs he wears and manufacturers perform even better than the real thing.
I just compare it to when you're at the airport and you hit the moving walkway. And then you're like, wow, walking is good. Then when you leave the walkway, you're like, wow, walking is very strenuous.
Was it hard to get used to?
No, you get spoiled immediately.
Yeah.
It's not that heavy.
Oh gosh, no, it is not at all. Remarkably, this robotics technology is battery powered. And then you just pop it in.
Yeah, I'm a wind-up power tool.
Her's incredible story began when he was just a teenager. In 1982, he lost both legs to frostbite while mountain climbing in a winter storm. He vowed not only to walk again, but to continue climbing. And within months, Her was back in action, using crude versions of prosthetic legs.
They didn't work very well, so I began tinkering and designing and building my own limbs. And that led to me climbing better with artificial limbs than with normal biological limbs, which was very inspiring because I realized that technology has such an extraordinary capacity to heal.
And sometimes that healing makes headlines.
Please allow me to introduce Adrian Hoslett-Davis.
At a TED Talk this year, Her invited a victim of the Boston terror bombing on stage to dance. Adrian Hoslett-Davis lost her left leg in the attack, and Her's team crafted a limb especially for her.
The criminals and cowards took Adrian off the dance floor. In 200 days, we put her back.
Her says moments like these prove that his decades of work have been worth it.
What a glorious use of our technology. It's sometimes we fit a bionic limb to a person and they start weeping and then they start giggling and you see all these emotions. It's absolutely priceless.
While some of the more advanced bionics are still in testing stage, Her's company iWalk manufactures and sells artificial ankles to consumers, many of them veterans. The market is still small and the cost prohibitive. But Her makes no apologies for his grand ambitions.
I imagine that in this century, society will largely eliminate disability. So that's an extraordinary goal.
A big goal indeed, but as Hugh Herr says, he's just warming up. It's so inspiring. And by the way, he's not just working on the robotics, he's also working with governments and insurance companies to try to find a way to have this stuff covered. He is a force of nature, and to think that if he hadn't had that accident, he wouldn't be doing any of this. Talk about fate intervening for the benefit of all of us. Absolutely extraordinary.